legislatively, though, to ensure that this money specifically goes to education?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. There's a way to earmark the money. That's what the governor has indicated. We can do it legislatively. So.
John, Governor's budget proposal. Where does that leave? 174 that you passed in the Senate? Is that
Senate bill passed. We passed the bill out of the Senate. It's still alive over in the House, and it's up to the folks in the House to decide how they want to vote on it.
Have you heard from Speaker Madigan on the status of that, or if he has anything?
Well, to me, the focus should be on those areas in central and southern Illinois where they benefit tremendously from state government. They benefit from the school aid formula. They benefit from state institutions. They have vendors who have not been paid, and they are primarily represented by Republicans. And I just don't know why they don't vote for this. I think I've been told that Leader Cross has asked them to vote no, even though they want to vote yes. Hopefully he'll change his mind on that, let these people go, and then decide how they want to vote.
The governor's budget proposal calls for merging the Department of Juvenile Justice with DCFS. You were part of creating that department. What are your
thoughts? The governor did talk about that. That does make sense, and I think that we're going to talk to the juvenile justice advocates and get their input as well. Negotiate with the unions, and that seems to me like a reform.
Mr. President, he's talking about $1.3 billion cut in education. This 1% increase would be something he said would generate $2.8 billion. How do you see the rest of the 1.5? The 1.3 would just keep it at current levels.
Yeah, I have not seen the governor's proposal. I haven't seen his numbers, so I don't know what would be generated by the 1%. I don't know if it covers corporate tax, so we have to study it. I take it that the goal would be to plug the hole in education. That's what his plan is, and that's something, again, it's going to emanate from the House for sure. We've already done our job over here, so whatever they pass from over there, we'll take it up here.
It's your understanding that he is talking about permanent tax versus...
Not necessarily at all. It doesn't have to be permanent, just like I said with our revenue increase that we passed. They want to amend it and make it a 2-year. I've been here in the General Assembly when twice we voted for temporary income taxes under Governor Thompson. It's happened before.
Right, but the governor's plan appears to be permanent.
Well, again, I haven't seen the details.
Do you think it's going through before the November election?
Well, it has to go through before the November election. The budget starts July 1st.
I feel like you should have seen those numbers beforehand.
No, it's fine. They're going to start in the House. Maybe they've all worked it out in the House. Maybe they'll vote on it that's separate.
Well, when you talk about pension reform, does that assume a new tier for new hires in the state of Illinois?
What the pension reforms involve are 2 changes. They involve capping the amount of money that you can get maximum a year is $150,000, and as people live longer, people would work longer before they can get their maximum benefit. Those 2 changes save an enormous amount of money, billions and billions of dollars.
President, is passing an income tax increase a good issue for Democrats to run on in the general election?
Well, I assume that this issue will be a bipartisan issue, just like all the other ones have been. And as a result, this will be, if it passes, it will be the House. It will be recognized as something that's trying to avoid massive cuts in education.
But if the Democrats think it's such a good idea, you have the votes to pass it without bipartisan support. I mean, aren't you just looking to the Republicans for cover?
Not at all. You're looking to the Republicans for votes. And there's a big difference.
But you don't need them.
Well, if you want to be fair about it, you look at somebody like, say, Representative Watson over in Jacksonville, where there's the school for the blind. I was just over there the other day. School for the blind, school for the deaf, a prison, a mental health facility. They all have vendors that are not being paid by the state school districts that are not being paid. And a poorer district than somebody up in a suburb of Chicago, where they don't have a prison or state facilities, where they have wealthier people who pay more in tax. So we all represent the same number of people. Whether you happen to be a Republican or a Democrat, if you're in need of more money for your district, you should be supportive of revenues to pay for those needs.
Would you put up all Democratic votes, Mr. President, if that's what it came down to?
We already did that.
Yeah, so would you do it again?
I would urge, obviously, especially Senator Brady, to recognize the need for these revenues so that he can get, for starters, the $8 million that's owed to his school district paid, and ask for bipartisan support. And perhaps if there's some Republicans voting for it over in the House, then we can have that bipartisan support in the Senate. I would remind you that the Republicans, the majority of the Republicans, voted for taxes when we passed our jobs bill, and I praise them for it. And I would urge them to do the same thing in trying to solve their education problems.
Republicans seem wary of voting for borrowing as well.
So far, they have not voted for any revenue increases. They have not given us any cuts. They have not indicated they wish to borrow money, and they didn't even vote to appropriate the money we have. So that is what I would call being uncooperative.
I just talked to Representative Jill Tracy, who mentioned that she put forth the bill to alleviate some Medicaid costs, take the cap, put a cap on kid care, and it went nowhere. So when you say that Republicans
I haven't seen it over in the Senate, and I don't know how much money it can save. I know that if we roll back all of the expansion of eligibility that Governor Blagojevich proposed, it would save $300 million, not $13 billion, and about 1.4 million Illinoisans would not be eligible for health care. Those expansions were basically insurance for relatively healthy people, which actually saves money in the long run. So when they talk about managed care for Medicaid, we need to know exactly how much money they would save. So far, I haven't seen anything that comes even anything close to saving the money that they claim they want to save. They talk about saving $5 billion, $500 million. I've never seen anything like that.
Mr. President, do you anticipate that this could be done quickly, like the governor is talking about here?
Look, we need to pass a budget by the time we get out of here May 8th, so that'll be soon enough.
Is this budget constitutional given that so much is rolled over? Senator Dillard says he hopes somebody sues over it because there's so much that is not making it a balanced budget.
Well, maybe Senator Dillard could be the plaintiff.
Is it a problem though, how much rollover there is? Or this borrowing again that Republicans have said they won't sign on to, how much that budget relies on?
Well, as the governor said, that borrowing is borrowing from vendors. It's by not paying your vendors, you are borrowing. I don't know what the constitutional definition is of a balanced budget. It's up to a court to decide. Obviously, we've tried to avoid having these deficits by making revenues available, and it hasn't passed.
Would it be easier to borrow too, Mr. President, if you pass this income tax because you might be able to borrow in anticipation or something?
The credit rating of the state will be improved when we pass the pension reforms, and if we were to pass a 1% surcharge, it would help our credit rating for sure.
Mr. President, do you agree with where the governor has made his other cuts outside of education?
Well, we've been cutting health and human services for 10 years. We have been increasing our spending in pensions because we've been trying to catch up to the decades of underfunding. We have been underfunding higher education, and tuitions have gone up as a result. We can't underfund healthcare because we will lose federal dollars. So the only place major reductions that you could do was in education. The operation of the state government, we believe we can provide savings by more efficiently spending the money we have.